Let's see if we're still. Okay, guys, if you're just tuning in, it's Nolen and Jason here with HVAC Webmasters. We're doing a live podcast, a couple of channels here. How's it going?
We're trying the live thing for the first time today on these channels.
So I've got a couple of topics I want to go over, but if you happen to be watching live, if you tuned in later, no problem. You'll get a podcast shot in live format. But if you're on right now, feel free to ask us some questions. I'd be happy to ask them. I get a notification. So happy to answer questions to anybody that's on here. If you have questions about your business, I'm a wealth of knowledge on all kinds of business related stuff. We obviously know a lot about HVAC marketing, HVAC webmasters, HVAC webmasters, and DataPen's map ranking app. We have done this for 15 years, and it was on the heels of me doing this on my own contractor business. I've been saying this a lot lately. I'm going to say it till I feel like some people have heard it, but I don't think I give off contractor vibes anymore. But I grew up in a contractor family. I'm a little rough. I get a little rough around. I don't get too polished on stuff, but I've been, the hands are kind of soft. There's no calluses here, but I've been in the office for a long time. It feels like, but I grew up in a flooring store family. Man, I mowed more lawn. I mowed so many lawns. I'll never mow a lawn again. I bought my first house and bought a riding lawnmower but it had been like years since I'd mowed, and I get on it and I'm like, no, this is not going to happen. But
that's why you have children.
We pay people to mow the lawn, but I had mowed, I don't know, 1,000 lawns by then, So
yeah.
Had a heat stroke one time, didn't know what it was because I was mowing in Texas heat. I did like 7-8 lawns a day, didn't hire any help, and I was like laid up in bed for like 4 days, like recovering, sipping water, eating crackers, trying to get better. Anyway, I've been in contracting. I had a home security company, did 23,000 alarm system sales and installs, and I realized that nothing mattered except marketing. It was the number one thing. And so we kind of ended up doing this for other people. And we do a fabulous job of it. But if you're on here, you want to have any advice on anything, let us know. I will discuss some stuff anyway. I'm going to go over keywords, marketing, basics, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I'd like to start with a mentality of marketing, the understanding of it. We talked about this character, Joe Buck Wild, on a different podcast, and is the guy that, and it could be anybody, but it's the guy you love to hate, because I think men will criticize somebody up marketing because you're better than them at this. Like, hey, that guy's a jerk and is online.
But like, you're better at the service than he is.
You're better at the service side than he is, but he's rolling over you in the rankings. You're like, you don't like his character, but he's up in rankings and he's everywhere.
He's better at marketing. He's better at sales.
Yeah, Joe Buck Wild is just free balling it and marketing, and he's too dumb to know that he should care.
Right.
Or that state's about to come down. I don't know, whatever it is. But I will tell you, those guys eventually win because they'll fix the service because they have the resources, right?
Yeah, they get the sales, they get the revenue, and the service issue. They'll either learn to do it themselves, or they'll be able to hire someone who can do it.
I don't want that guy to beat you. I don't. I want to help. Truth is, somebody calls us. If it's Joe Buck Wild or Joe Buck best service in the world, we'll help you,
Yeah.
But the guy going for the marketing is eventually going to dominate the market. And you want to get out there and have your brain screwed on straight that you're like, hey, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to bring my digital brand to signaling to Google, to Bing, to ChatGPT, to AI, to algorithmic search, so that when they find signals of my brand, I'm worthy of showing up and ranking. HVAC is possibly my favorite category because of all the keywords. And guys, I don't know if you know, but about half of all keywords are what they call low search volume.
Low search volume, what we sometimes refer to as long tail, what we like to call weird searches.
It sounds weird to call it low search volume because low search volume is half of all volume.
Yeah.
So,
but it's each individual phrase is considered low volume by itself.
Right.
And what low search volume really means is that Google can't monetize it on an ad.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you can't monetize it for your marketing.
Right. Yeah. So if you're up there for HVAC contractor, AC repair, it's great to get like 5 keywords up, but there's another 1,000 in unison that make up as much search as the top 10.
Yeah.
So that top 10 is great, but there's another 1,000 that it'll equal that much volume as well.
Right.
Most people don't get any of that really.
Everybody wants to be up at the top for HVAC or probably more like AC repair or AC installation, something like that. And I mean, and it's not that those are bad, but
they lose so much of the stuff that could have been.
Yeah.
And they don't think about it. So most people don't do this. You can show up for M30 Wi-Fi thermostat, for Linux air handler, and for capacitors and coil cleanings and this part and heated niter switch. I mean, and this brand and that part, I like to say it's more than sonic drink flavor combinations for HVAC, which is why I love the category.
Yeah. HVAC is a neat category, mostly because of the kind of people we work for. HVAC is the one where their customer actually knows the brand.
Right.
Like when you're talking about a plumber, for instance.
Yeah, they don't know.
People don't know the brand of pipes they have.
Right.
Yeah, you know. They might know the toilet or the faucet or something.
The water heater.
Or the water heater.
Tankless water heater.
But they don't. But that's why water heaters was our favorite thing in plumbing,
because it's got brands attached to it.
But in HVAC, people know what their air conditioner is. They know what their furnace is. They know what their thermostat is.
They get a bid.
Yeah.
And then they freak out and they Google it, and you can be the only guy that works on it. Or they've tried to go onto YouTube and figure out how to mess with the thermostat, and they can't figure it out. They screwed it up.
Yeah, probably broke it.
Yeah, maybe. But then you get a client, you get repeats and everything else off of it. And you show up. I want you to show up for everything. Primary keywords. People say, "Oh, I'm already in ranking. I already got a website. I got the." No, you got a fraction of what you could get from what we always called the big show.
Right.
So in the age of AI, I want to talk to you guys about this real quick. In the age of AI, we have data pins, which is AI integrated page creation for somebody. But as far as the search stuff goes, and all these folks who own homes, my kids search on ChatGPT for free homework and stuff. And I don't care. I don't even believe in school hardly for them, the way they're doing it. Go do your homework on there. But the homeowner is not searching on there yet too much. However, we still optimize you for that because they're drawing the information from the algorithms.
Yeah. Even if one of your customers or potential customers does go to ChatGPT to search for something, ChatGPT is getting all that information from Google or the sources Google is using anyway. So ultimately, it's the same thing.
Right. So yeah, you're still going to optimize for it. It hasn't changed buying patterns yet. No. People still are search patterns yet. People are still going there doing the same thing. So you're going to want to optimize still the old school stuff. And most people don't get enough of it. I mean, they just don't do enough. You put up a bad website and leave it and get reviews, or you put up a bad website and spam it and get reviews, links out of the country, slamming it with blog entries that nobody wants to read, stuff like that. That's just a bad website. So you wonder why you don't do as well as ranking. And then you start looking at buying leads, which are very costly, and you get mad at one paid ad, company to another, trying to find somebody to save you. And really what you should have done was to really legitimately exploit every opportunity to show up on Google being an integrated AI search.
Right.
Because over 75% of people are clicking on a non-paid item. They're clicking on
we hear it all the time. People say, "Oh, everybody just clicks on the ads." That is absolutely not true. A quarter or less of the people click on the ads.
Quarter or less of the people click on an ad. And if you ask the individual that said that, do you click on paid ads when you look for local services? And they'll say no.
That's what I always say when they tell me that. I say, "When's the last time you clicked on an ad?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well."
So you don't do it. And the reason is, by the way, so let's talk about this. The reason is because people want to know who they're doing business with, and they want to deal with a brand. Right. They don't want to deal with a guy that scares them, that's a gig economy, not sure if he's insured or licensed. They're scared, right? So let's face it, homeowners are scared of contractors in general.
Yeah.
They're very scared. I think that like 55%, depending on the category, of females calling you up in the first place. They're the ones initiating the call. So they're very concerned about dealing with an HVAC contractor or a plumbing contractor.
Right.
So you want to have a brand, and that is how you show up. So the old school of search engine optimization or SEOs it's still there, but in reality, there's no tricking Google anymore. And you're going to send signals, and they need content, but they don't want trickery. And almost everybody out there is still tricking Google.
Or trying to.
They're
not actually doing it. They're trying.
Jason, I told you I talked to a guy yesterday for the second time. The first time I talked to him about a week ago, he said, HVAC contractor said, well, I just did a website. And I said, I'm looking at it. And I said, it has indexed 1,610 pages.
Oh,
and as I look at your sitemap, I see that you've got every county in like a quarter of your state, and city pages duplicated. I said, this is very bad. Now, this worked like 7 years ago.
Would have been fabulous 10
years ago.
You'd have ruled the market 7 years ago.
It is extreme spam because nobody wants to read it, and it's not a good user experience. And so when you have stuff like that goes up, you got to be careful. Google needs content, but they don't need fake content, bad content. Guys, if you're listening and you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I'm happy to answer. We're happy to answer any questions on the fly, but we've got endless stories for this kind of stuff. I called that guy back, and it had indexed up to 1,700 and something pages.
It's getting worse by the day.
And what will end up happening with him? And now he was calling because it wasn't working, and he was concerned. But then he also lamented losing the big website that he paid for.
Yeah.
And I said,
well, I paid good money for this. Doesn't matter. And you paid money for it. I wouldn't call it good money because it was badly spent.
So what percentage? 96.55% of all pages written for Google are never viewed. And so there's penalties post AI. AI does a lot of stuff, not just content for, people, but AI does a lot of other things, but it makes pages of content. So a bunch of bozos are going on making endless pages of content, and Google's not happy about that. And they're penalizing people for it. Now, you can still have content, just has to be helpful content.
They want helpful content. One of the things I've been seeing a lot since they cranked up the helpful content update last year was SEOs I saw a guy very boldly state the other day that Google can't really judge what's helpful. And I actually responded and got flamed for it. And I said, yeah, they can. It's just that their definition of helpful and yours is very different.
Right.
And you haven't figured out that you need to adjust your definition.
Most people are still kind of mired in old school spam thought processes.
Yeah.
So they think that they're supposed to have a lot of blog entries, and you should have like probably 2 or 3 or 0. So they want to know that sort of stuff. So you can have stuff like a page of content like data pins. You can check out datapins.com if you want. But that'll actually be what happened on the job. Like, hey, we did replace this Linux M30 Wi-Fi thermostat here.
Yeah.
We did clean the coils on this 16-series carrier unit. And you talk about those things, the Daikin fit heat pumps or whatever the stuff is, and you'll talk about it. And then you'll have a page of content for that, and it'll coincide with half of all search that exists.
Yeah. And just to make a point here, Nolen talked about 1,600 pages. And if you're going out in the field and doing this and you're working on getting data pins, you could get up to where you have 1,600 pages that are pins. But the difference is every one of those pins pages is very relevant and is very specifically, we performed a service. Here's the service we performed. Here's a photo to show what we did. And here is encoded within this the location where we did it. It's brief. It's relevant.
Yeah, it's a good user content. And if they want to search for an M30 Wi-Fi thermostat, they can show that. Now, I want to talk about someone justifying their pay and all these charlatans, thieves, and cheats and salespeople and everything out in the field, out in digital marketing.
Yeah,
I mean, guys, just because. So a lot of these guys, like the guy that had the 1,600-page website, he felt good about it on some level, and he was having trouble coming off of that.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, that is not good content.
Well, he probably thought it was pretty, and it had tons of pages, and it's like, wow, that's great. Look at what I got for my money.
I'd almost end it for that. My sweet little girl went to OU.
Oh, she called
her daddy. Good God, man. I made me cry live.
Nolen's had his first child leave home for college, so he's struggling a little.
Good God. She'd been there for like 4 days. Everybody's asking her to drive them around. in her car.
Oh, she has. Well, you got her a nice car.
Some boy like that she just met needs to drive across town. It's too much. It's too much. Like we're just like we raised her well though. I think she'll make good decisions.
She's a smart kid.
But guys, as far as these, just be careful. A human trying to justify their existence with AI blog content, AI city pages, it's not the signaling you need to send, but you are branded signaling to Google, and you can dominate your market and take advantage of a ton of stuff. I want to talk to a guy that's brand new. I want to talk to the guy that's brand new that doesn't have the money to go. So let's go on that. I just had a guy talk to him. I said, "Good for you. You got a cheap website up. Get verified."
Did something. That's
he
good.
Did something.
Yeah.
He wasn't verified. His HVAC guy. I just called him. I'm gonna quit bugging him because he's new and he's just not ready yet to do something. But he got his site up, get a few reviews, and get going. But once that thing's going, you literally are digital branded signaling to Google. That's who you are. They don't know anything else. And if you'll do enough good signaling over your competitors, you'll show up for stuff. Life is fabulous. You get daily call volume, and it's the best life you can have. There's nothing wrong with paid ads or social media ads. Social media and other stuff can accelerate things, but usually only once somebody has a good brand to start with.
Yeah, you have to get your foundation and you have to get your brand established first.
And it'll accelerate the Google, Bing, and AI search, and a tiny bit from social media. The social media by itself usually doesn't pull much unless the owner of the company's participating and pretty decent at what they're doing.
Yeah.
So if the owner participates, but if you go to a digital marketing agency and they're like, "Oh, we're going to handle this. We're going to take care of this. We're going to do funneling and email drips, and we're going to do some paid on Instagram, Facebook, a little paid on Google. You're going to pay for your SEO, your website, and you're going to boost your map." And they have all these buckets, and I call it the shell trick. And then they bundle the whole thing together, and it's kind of really expensive.
Yeah, and you throw down 5 figures at them every month.
You give them $5,000, $6,000,
Yeah.
and then they want term agreements and money down. We've been month to month forever, but if somebody's wanting that and it sounds great, but then you've got to commit to long term, why would you if it worked? Now, some organic will take a little longer, but the one thing that they could have done that was the organic that would have worked, they're horrible at that.
Generally, yeah.
Well,
okay.
I mean,
universally,
it's hard.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
at this point.
Not everybody's bad, but there's a couple of us.
Yeah.
A couple of us. And there's about 10,000 bad ones. I heard somebody make a comment. I'd relate it over to digital marketing too, but it was a funny quote. I can't remember who did it about lawyers. Well, nothing that a couple hundred thousand bad apples run the bunch.
Oh, yeah.
You ever heard that statement before? And I think it was an attorney though. He said, "Well, a couple 100,000 bad apples run the bunch." And so it's like, you don't have one or two, you have a lot of bad ones. And so you got to be careful about it. I pride myself on, and we work on spending money where there's the best rate of return. It's still this stuff. And we try everything. This is evidence. We try everything. And then if we find something that brings it, I'll give you one thing that I like besides Google organic being an integrated AI organic for an HVAC contractor. I like Google LSA.
Yeah.
Google local service ads. I think they're great on overall, but the problem is they can't get enough leads off of them because everybody signed up.
Yeah. And LSA also requires very active management on like a daily basis.
Guys, any questions? Anybody got questions? I will give you my honest opinion on it. I'm as if you got any questions directly. And of course, like and subscribe. You want to see this stuff pop up? We're on multiple channels. You can find us. We're currently on Instagram, YouTube, but like and subscribe. We're very involved. 15 years now in business with agencies, HVAC.
Just in this business.
Yeah, HVAC webmasters, and then Data Pens was proprietary, not white labeled. We pioneered that, own it, integrate it to the nines. And when I say integrate it to the nines, everybody wants to sell you all slap on crud. We don't have to work on your website. Let's manage your paid stuff. And you're dying and you want to show up in pack 3 and lots of keywords. That's what we do. We spent $1.5 million, $2 million software, integrate it, get our hands real dirty, meaning we integrate stuff that people don't want to do. It's expensive to have the best designers and people working on your GBP. And then we painfully integrate data pins into every page. So if you tag a tankless water heater, you go on the tankless water heater page, or if you tag a HVAC thermostat, it'll go on that page. So done this stuff for eons, and we're good at it and we're proud of it. We'll still manage paid. I'm just not going to shove it down your throat when I know it costs a fortune.
It's not our favorite thing. We'll help you with it, but our goal is always that if you're doing any paid, our goal is to hopefully get you so many leads through organic that you don't have to do paid. You forget about it.
I honestly don't have a problem with somebody working on, Yelp, Home Advisor, Angie's List, Thumbtack, even a Nextdoor ad or something like that. But the truth is, I hardly ever get anybody. They make a lot of money, but everybody's always upset about it.
Anybody you talk to that's paid lead services is always hates it. They're always desperate to get away from it and terrified of leaving it at the same time.
Yeah, and I don't think it's bad if it makes money for somebody ever.
Right,
your business. But I'm telling you that the ability to digital signal your brand out to Google, Bing, and AI search now, where still almost everything's coming from, is huge and gotten better, not worse. Google is like way better at catching these branded signals that are out in the ether, and your brand is pulling it. I'll give a topic category for these guys that we talked about just a minute ago that I think is fabulous. Let's talk about the ability for them to understand your brand.
Okay.
And the nuance of it and why it's so important. And let's start with your Google business profile, and we'll talk about the name of your company. So
very simple, it seems like.
Yeah, very simple seemingly, but the name of the company is important. And it's important if you had something that you're going to talk about. I would say that the GBP doesn't need to change all the time. You want to tell that story?
Oh yeah, we had we have a current client recently that he got into his own Google business profile, and you own your Google business profile. We don't hijack those from any of our clients, but you should probably stay out of it because it's really easy to screw it up. And he got into it and he was making little changes and he didn't understand the nuance of how you have to put things in there. And I think one of our account reps told me that he went in and he put in address information, location information, and instead of putting DR for drive for the street he was on, he fully typed out drive.
Right.
And that confused Google.
Right.
Because as smart as Google is, sometimes it's also kind of dumb, and it popped him into a different county.
Yeah. But it's changing. So the brand itself, like someone's thinking, I need to make regular changes to stuff, but the GBP is not the place to do that.
Yeah. The GBP is a plaque on a wall made of brass that you put the particulars of your company on, and you just put it up there and you shine it and let it stay there. Your brand signals feed into that.
Right.
They don't come from that. So in him doing this, he was actually risking, by popping this around and making multiple changes rapidly, he was actually risking a suspension of his profile, because Google doesn't like that information to change very often. So they regard that as suspicious.
So that's the brand. Your GBP is, if you change your address once in a blue moon, be careful. That's a whole different thing. Don't move out of town.
Oh yeah.
Don't change
the town.
Different thing. That's a whole different thing. So but the company name changes. I just talked to a guy right before this. He's like, somebody told me not to change my name, not change. And I said, oh, you really want to change it? He said, I really want to change it. I said, okay, let me check everything. He'd only registered the .com in November of last year. He had one Google review and never received a phone call. So this time to change it. Let's do it.
Yeah, if you want to change it, that's the time, because it's not established.
Otherwise, you're married to it. And if you begin to change major aspects of your brand, name, address, phone number, NAP, and enhancement of NAP, you got to be careful. Name changes is like chopping an arm off.
Yeah, your brand, your name becomes an entity in Google's kind of this weird keyword entity map model they use.
Right.
And your business is identified with that name, and it becomes its own thing, and it becomes associated with the types of services you perform. You're ABC AC, right? And then ABC AC gets connected to AC repair, furnaces,
And
heating repair.
it's an entity dump category. And if your
Yeah.
HVAC can maybe even bleed into plumbing a little bit.
Yeah.
But they don't really know that you do everything like coils and capacitors and, M30 Wi-Fi thermostats. So as those things get rolled in properly, and that's why I say we get our hands dirty, when they get rolled into a page of content underneath the brand inside the entity that's growing and signaling, then those begin to be keywords in the bucket. And the bucket of keywords turns into a small mountain stuff. That's where all the long tail keywords come from.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you change that name, you sever those connections.
Yeah, you can.
It's like, I mean,
you can.
If you're established enough and you do it just the right way, you might be able to weather this.
Yeah.
But it's generally just avoid.
So, and then, avoid that. Let's go. Let's move on. The other one is this: don't move outside the city center. If you don't love the whole metroplex because it's ghetto, move into the main metroplex if you kind of like it, right underneath the loop next to the nice part of town, but you still pick up the main primary city keyword term. If you're already in one of the other cities and it's big enough, like Plano, Texas is to Dallas, Texas, just stay in Plano. It's fine.
Yeah.
But don't move from Plano to Melissa. If you know Collin County, you know what I'm talking about. Don't go to Melissa. Nobody up there. A lot of guys will make money and then say, I'm getting out of here. Screw this rat race. I'm a country boy. And I don't blame you. But there's money in the city. And you got to keep the address there, and it's got to be legit.
And by the way, your business address probably should not be your home address.
But it might have to be. And if Google accepts it, do it. You make it a service address, but if you make it a service address, it's not quite as valuable, but it'll be okay. It's better than nothing. Right. And now it's against the Google Webmaster Guidelines, but 95% of the time they let you have it. And then once you make money,
as long as it's just one, they won't let you.
Just one. Two. Move it to an R panel building, light industrial space that looks like an HVAC contractor would be there. Put a decal on the door and make sure there's not another HVAC contractor in the same strip. Right. Otherwise, they'll get confused with you. They don't like having it. And they're not sure what's going on. You don't want to spook Google at all.
Yeah. If you move into a building and there's another HVAC guy next door, Google's initial instinct on that is to assume that you're both of those and you're trying to take up extra space on mapping.
That is exactly what they think, and you won't show up in ranking very well. These are all problems that we see that we help you with, guys. We'll help you with darn near anything. All this stuff is things you should have some professional services for. Let's talk about the name itself. Entity category, I don't know where to start with it. Mechanical's a rougher word.
Yeah, because mechanical. It sounds nice. It sounds a little more lofty than AC repair.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Google brands you and gets you in that bucket of entities, as Nolen put it, based on how your customers search, and almost none of your customers are going in and saying, I need mechanical services.
They don't know what it is.
Most of them think mechanical services means their car.
It's a respectable term to the HVAC contractor, but they don't know what it is, the consumer. Right. So since it may not match with user intent because the user's dumb about it,
exactly,
then they may not give you the proper respect for it. Now, if you're already named mechanical, it's not a death blow. It's just something that you want to start out with.
Yeah, if you're starting a new company, don't
put the word air. If the word air is fine, heating and air is fine, HVAC is fine. Like all those words that are just clean, just air by itself, that signifies to Google the entity category and the liking of the user intent that made the search.
Right.
And what that means is if three people show up and search and one of them has the word mechanical and the user doesn't know what the heck that means, and the other people say air and HVAC and heating and air, they're like, I think I'll get that one. Yeah. I don't know what mechanical, I don't know what that is.
And Google watches that behavior from their users, your customers, and they see that nobody ever clicks on the one named mechanical, and they de-emphasize
a little bit
that as a keyword a little bit.
I mean, it depends on the market and everything, but that's just something I wouldn't want you fighting against if you didn't have to. Of course, PO boxes are out, virtual offices out. Even you might get one approved every once in a while. But anybody have questions? If anybody's just in here, it's Nolen and Jason with the HVAC Webmasters. Been doing this for 15 years. Had data pins datapins.com. Awesome software for an HVAC contractor infused within our services, extra special stuff for like 5 years. And love working with you guys. We give, in my opinion, best service available by far. And yeah, I don't know if I have any. What other stuff can we tell these guys that they don't know?
We didn't really go other than mechanical. We didn't really complete the thought about the name.
The name I did. I'll give something else first about the marketing. Before I forget this, I'd encourage you to shrug off any negativity, negative narratives, judgment. It's what you can do, what you can't do, what the people in your market that are in ranking did to get there, whether you can beat them or not.
Yeah.
Whether you can beat them or not. I mean, most of those guys are old school and aren't marketing as well. If you pick up good quality services like ours, you can signal better digital branded signaling and come up and begin to show up, you know. And I'm real big on keeping the brain clean and positive. It's hard. The older you get, I have to shake it off all the time. I think it was easier being, you know, young and dumb and Joe Buck Wild, you know. I be Joe Buck Wild my whole life over like, you know, seasoned and like gritty and understanding everything.
I have much wisdom and just as much anxiety.
I made a ton of money when I was Joe Buck Wild, but I didn't hold on to stuff. I mean,
that's the downside of being Joe Buck.
That's the problem. Yeah, I don't mind Joe Buck Wild, but yeah, he'll make you mad in your marketplace. But I wouldn't hate and shame because that guy becomes a goat of stuff. And I went from Joe Buck Wild to an OG of marketing, and I kind of kept stepping up. So I was the guy that gunned in blazing.
Right.
Didn't know what I was doing in home security, and blast called with auto dialers all of DFW in Houston over and over again until it was illegal. That was this Joe Buck Wild. And I ain't Joe Buck Wild anymore. I'm old and seasoned. But I started.
You used to tell me that you think you were actually at least partially responsible for that becoming illegal.
I know I'm responsible for, I'll tell you, I don't know if you ever heard the story, but this is a cool story. I'm responsible for a verified search of alarm systems still occurring in Fort Worth, Texas. You ever hear that story?
No.
They tried to sneak in on the city council agenda to stop verified response to alarm systems because it was a movement that went through. Y'all don't remember, but it rocked my world. Like back in the late 90s and early 2000s. We're going to stop responding to, oh, it's just verified response. So it's like, well, what does that mean? It's like, we need to see her being beaten and raped before we'll come out there and help. Like it's very, or we need to see, someone needs to verify that someone has broken into that house. It's like, no, they're in here. Oh, they're beating on me now. You know, you got to get out here now. And
they wouldn't just respond to the alarm itself. They needed a follow-up call from a person.
They thought that video verification was beginning to be something. They thought that videos, and then nobody wants cameras in their home. Right. So that all kind of got nixed. There was two-way voice and stuff. They tried to slip that in on a 5-day agenda. I went into work and like made tons of auto dialing messages, listed every council member's name. I'm putting this out there. Nobody knows I did this. Every council, but it was a political.
Most people probably aren't.
Well, it was legal at the time, and it was frankly for a political purpose, you know. Yeah. But I listed every council member's name and phone number, and then I told them what was happening. I said, "Attention, Fort Worth, you're about to lose response to alarm signals. They call it verified response. That means they will not come out to your home." And I mean, I blast called all of Fort Worth for 5 days flat, and got all council members and the mayor. It was Moncrief at the time. And I remember saying it, and I'd say each council member's name like a slur, like a 4-letter word. And I remember one of them, I don't want to say her name out loud. I was like, Mary Kay, call Mary Kay at this, assume at this number. And then their phone lit up so much they had to hire extra operators and flooded city council. And when we went, my wife and I went with me, and I didn't think anything of it. I'm just aggressive Joe Buck Wild.
Yeah.
Joe Buck Wild going to shut it down. They said they'd received more phone calls than ever in city council history. Moncrief shows up and said, folks, please settle down. Please settle down. We are going to respond to your alarm system. People are like, my God, I pay taxes. So you guys, and like, There was standing room only out in the hallway. Said, we've never had this kind of response. And he said, I don't know who called everybody. I kind of
well, now they know.
Yeah, I kind of sunk down.
There's some city council member who's on life support and like hasn't moved out of their bed in a decade, and they're watching this and they're going,
I don't remember.
The hounds, get him. We finally know who it is.
I don't remember what, I don't remember what year it was. It was probably like 01 or something, maybe something like that. But 2000, and it was a while back. But I hammered them, man, and I just hammered them, and they were going to do their dirty little politician deal and slip it in and go, oh, we save money on police response, verified response, and they to this day, Fort Worth responds to alarm systems. But that was my aggressive marketing self doing stuff back in the day.
Yeah,
and I feel like I'm kind of back to that point. But if I'd encourage any of you guys, is to champion your brand, fight for your family, fight for your company. Put a digital brand out there and have some faith that things are going to get good, and that the Octobers and Marches will be better next year. Your slow season, your busy season will be booming. You can't handle it, So we have clients every year we have clients that call us, say they add a truck every year, and they have clients call us, say, hey, I appreciate y'all. I'm tired of paid. I don't do any paid anymore.
We've had clients come to us when it was one truck. It was the owner we were talking to, and he might have had an assistant. And then after 3 years with us, they've got 20 trucks on the road or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it can be great. It can be great, and you need good people. I come on here to talk to people. I tell you, I was a contractor. I fight. I'm no nonsense guy. I fight Texas style for people, and I always tell people, tell it like it is, and Texas direct, Texas respectful. We fight for you to have good stuff in here. I hadn't gotten rid of people in years, but we got rid of people this year. Had a few complacent people been here too long. We're not going to put out bad product. We do the best we can, know. And, you guys may not need to go live like this for what you do for digital branding and signaling. What I do to come to you is a little different than what you do to go to the client. But I will tell you that I'm going to come in here and fight until I can't do it anymore. And I won't limp out. Like we won't get, if I get complacent and I'm not in my business, things don't work as well. And the more I do the tough stuff, I talk about this all the time, but it makes me mad when I see people say, work on your business, not in your business.
What does that even mean?
Elon works, sweet old grandpa, Warren Buffett still works. They're selling the hell out of their stuff.
Yeah.
They're doing different things, but they're doing the most important thing. Right. And it happens to be branding for their company, guys. This is your clue in branding for your company, outreach and marketing. That's what Elon does, Warren Buffett does. They still go back and manage their companies. Do they do the same thing when they started? No. Does Elon still sleep under the desk? He might.
He probably
still does sleep under the desk.
He's crazy.
Yeah, but they're working hard. But all the greats that you can think of, Steve Jobs, and
Steve Jobs' entire job was marketing.
That
was his
branding.
Is making sure the integrity of the product,
right,
and then getting the message out there. That's what he did.
I want to help you. We want to help you. I want to help you champion your digital brand signalings. We help champion your brand out there in the ether so the algorithms can digest it, and you deserve to show up in search rankings. And if you've never been a part of the big show, you'll never understand it. But we'll fight for you to do it, and I won't waste your money on other stuff. And we're still month to month to this day. We keep clients out of merit of what's going on, and then we don't waste the money. I don't waste the money and try it. I don't mind paid. I don't mind it at all, but I don't push it because I don't want the anger transferred to me.
Yeah.
When they don't get the return on investment from the social outreach or the Google ad that didn't go into not enough went in the top of their funnel. And by the way, you start talking about funneling and email drips. Well, how does that work without leads?
Yeah.
And if the guy that's selling you all the fancy stuff, which I don't have a big problem with, but if they're trying to sell you that stuff, but they're not championing the brand to get organic, it's really tough to pay for enough leads to go in the top of the funnel to make a difference.
Yeah. We like to say that, it's not that there's anything wrong with funneling and email drips. It's that those are actually the secondary thing.
Yeah.
Those aren't marketing. Those are what happens after the marketing.
Well, man, you got anything else to go over? Does anybody have any questions for us? Anything at all? Like and subscribe. We're going to keep doing lives, giving you tidbits. If anybody has questions about your marketing, about your business even, I'm a big low overhead guy. Keep your expenses low so when you make a profit, when you get money, you can make a profit. Any other questions? Anybody got a question? Anybody? Happy to answer anything. You got anything else, Jason, you want to talk about?
No, I think we covered it today. We'll be coming back. We'll be doing these regularly.
We will. We'll try to add some more comedic relief for you. I was feeling too serious about marketing.
This is very serious stuff today.
I'm going to call my daughter, man. I got
your little girl.
Sweet little girl at college for the first time. Guys, take it easy. We'll see you next time around.
Take